In this video, I'm going to show you how to draw a scale diagram of a triangle when you're given 3 side lengths and you need to find an angle. So in example 2 here, we have triangle GHI, and we're told 3 side lengths, G equals 0.26 centimeters, H equals 0.16 centimeters, and C equals 0.30 centimeters. We have to use a scale diagram to find angle H in that triangle and round it to the nearest degree. So just like with the last example, the first thing we have to do is figure out a scale. This is a triangle that I could fit to scale easily enough on my paper, but it would be so small that it would basically be impossible to get a good measurement out of it. 0.26 centimeters is 2.6 millimeters, and that's, that's not going to be very helpful for me. So what I have to do with these side lengths is I actually have to scale them up somehow to try to find a good scale. So let's write these side lengths out. 0.26 centimeters, 0.16 centimeters, and 0.30 centimeters. Let's try to scale these into something useful. So I have to make these bigger, so I have to multiply them all by the same number, something that'll make it bigger. So you can just pick a number and try it. This is something you can do on scrap paper. So how about I just try multiplying each number in the triangle by 50 centimeters. 50 times 0.26 gets me 13 centimeters on the page. So my triangle would be 13 centimeters long on that side instead of 0.26 centimeters. That seems pretty reasonable. So I could try the same thing with these other two, times by 50 times by 50, and I would get that this side length would be 8 centimeters and the third side length would be 15 centimeters. If you have enough room on your page, you could do this. That would be great. We could go ahead with that. But I just want to show you what would happen if maybe I didn't have quite that much room and I needed to try another experiment. I could just try to pick another convenient number. And so I'll show you what I could do if I wanted to try to make that triangle just a little bit smaller on my page. So instead of multiplying by 50, if I wanted to try another number, well, let's just cut that in half. So how about I try scaling these numbers, these side lengths up by 25 instead. 0.26 times 25 is 6.5 centimeters. 0.16 centimeters scales to 4 centimeters on my page, and 0.30 centimeters would scale up to 7.5 centimeters on my page. And so maybe I would think that this is a more convenient number for the room that I have to work with. That's really up to you though, depending on how much room you have to work with on your page. Generally, the bigger the better, but if it's not going to fit, you've got to make it smaller. And so you could have tried other numbers to multiply it up. I just picked 50 and 25, for no particular reason, just because I thought they'd get us into a pretty good range. But I'm going to go ahead and use these second set of values that I got just for our example. So now that I've picked a scale, I can go ahead and start sketching. So just like in the example 1, we had to sort of make a little plan on what angles we're going to be where and which sides we're going to be where. It's more important when you're starting with an angle to make sure you get that angle in the lower left, for me, just because it makes measuring that angle a little easier. But it's not as important when we have 3 sides. So we get to label this any way we want, really. So how about I just go like this? G will be the bottom left, I'll do H over here on the bottom right, and angle I up top. I don't know why I chose to work counterclockwise. You could work around the triangle clockwise if you'd rather with your labeling, but it's not going to be important. We're still going to get, as long as our diagram's right, we're still going to get the same angles in the triangle at the end of the day. So this means little g is across from big G, little I is across from big I, and little h is across from big H. So I usually like to start by drawing my side along the bottom. I just find that makes things easier. So I know that that little side I is 7.5 centimeters on my page. So I put my ruler down, there's my start, and I measure 7.5 centimeters across. There's my side length I. Now let's do another side. I'm going to go with side length G, which is 6.5 centimeters. Oh, but I don't have an angle to go off. And because I'm not given any angles in this problem, all I can really do is guess. So I'm just going to try one here. I'm going to try measuring side length H, which is, oh, sorry, I had said G earlier. Let's go with side length H because that's moving from left up. So I'll go with side length H, which is 4 centimeters on my page, and I'll just measure 4 centimeters. Ooh, let me try that again. That came out a little squiggly. There we go, 4 centimeters. So that side length H is 4 centimeters. And now let me go fill in that last missing side, side length G. And here I go. But when I look at my ruler as I connect those lines, side length G, which is supposed to be 6.5 centimeters long, would put me all the way down there. That would be side length G. So something went wrong. The problem was that when I chose my angle to go from I up to H, I just guessed at the angle wrong. So I'm going to have to raise this angle and try again. And so this might actually take 2 or 3 tries to get it close enough. It doesn't have to be perfect, but we have to get a lot closer than what I did. So I'm going to have to try this again, and we start from the same place, start with that bottom side, so that's side I, and that's 7.5 centimeters across. So that's side I equals 7.5 centimeters. And I'm going to try side H. H was 4 centimeters, but I have to do this at a sharper angle. So I'm going to put my ruler at a sharper angle and measure 4 centimeters. There we go, not my straightest line, but that'll do. So that's little h equals 4 centimeters. And now that means that I get to finish this triangle off with side length G, and it actually worked pretty well this time. So connecting that corner down to that corner, that's closer to 6.4 centimeters, but I'd say that's pretty good. Good enough for a scale diagram. It's never going to be perfect when you don't have the angle, so it's good enough for us. This is about 6.5 centimeters. And what that means is we now have our triangle with all the right sides, and this was G, I, and H. And now we can go ahead and measure our angle H with our protractor. So I put my protractor down there and I give it a good measure, and I think that that looks like it's about 30 degrees to the nearest degree. I think that looks like just about 30 degrees. My sides aren't perfectly straight. Yours are going to be a little straighter. It was a little hard to do on the screen, but I've got my measurement for angle H. So you can see that when you have to draw a scale diagram starting with 3 sides, it's a little trickier just because you have to make a guess and get close to the right angles. And so it might take you a couple tries to get the right angles in the end. But just be patient, and the more you try, the more you practice, the quicker you'll get at trying a few different combos. Oh, and because we're measuring an angle, the angle would be the same if we were to shrink this triangle back to the original size, which was only a couple of millimeters on each side. And so we don't have to do any converting with our angle. In similar triangles, those angles stay the same. So 30 degrees is 30 degrees, no matter what size of the triangle it really is. And so that's our final answer, h equals 30 degrees.